Three, two, one. What is good, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Platinum Podcast. I told you guys I was gonna stay consistent, and I will. I'm trying out here. I'm trying. But today we have somebody very, very special and very cool and very. Her vibe is like the level where I want to be on, right? So she's a singer, songwriter, rapper. She's got I don't know. She's just a very busy person. So we got Holiday
Hey,
in the podcast. How's it going?
it's going good. Wow, I'm so flattered. That's such a nice intro. Thank you. I'm gonna try to and live up to that.
No, you good. I've been following you for quite some time. I don't know when I started following you. One day I think it was through Frankie.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's Frank. Yeah, that's a day one right there.
Yeah, so I think I followed him for the longest time, and I think whenever he posted up some work and tagged you in, I was like, oh dang, she's pretty cool. Let me follow her too. So it's been a ride, and I've been kind of just creeping on your social medias here and there every time you post. So just kind of seeing kind of like your journey, in the back hand,
Yeah,
just kind of like seeing how like what you've worked on and what you're going towards and stuff like that. So I kind of want to take it from the beginning. When I messaged you,
hmm
you said that you think it's time for your voice to be heard in the Hmong community. Why haven't
right.
you kind of like spoke in the Hmong community, or kind of like release anything towards the Hmong community?
You know what? I'm really glad that you mentioned that actually. Because I met Frankie wow maybe like 6 7 years ago, and I mean if you've been following me for that long, well, you've been a part of my journey for
Yeah.
a while. But I originally was an actress, and I still am an
Mm.
actress, but that's just kind of on the back burner right now because I
Hmm.
want to venture out, and my true passion is music.
Yeah.
And for me, I always felt like, the comedic skits and those kinds of things, they were fun.
Hmm.
But and in the Hmong community, I feel like sometimes when, because everyone's like, oh yeah, that's like, oh my friend's cousin, I mean, that's like, so once you have that closeness, people actually start to really devalue and dehumanize you as
Mm.
a maybe a singer or an artist.
Yeah.
So I kind of, and plus like a lot of the other Hmong artists that I knew, a handful of them, kind of like weren't too welcoming of me
Mm.
because when you're like at that age where it's all about like, oh, how many likes you have, how many views you
Yeah.
have, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's very different when you're trying to come in and be like professional and collaborate. Like they want to work with like, who has like clout and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really truly feel accepted, and also like my image was very different. The goal I had for myself was very different. And this is in no way to say that I think that I'm better than anyone. You know
Right.
what I mean?
It's just a different lane.
Right, right. It's a completely different lane.
Mhm.
I'm actually very good friends with Kalia, and she's always been like a real person. And I love Chin too. Like that's like the homie.
Mhm.
So when I saw you do like a little thing with him, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hop on this one because I've been asked. I've been asked, by a couple different
Oh, okay.
people before, but I just felt like it wasn't the right time,
Mm.
because I wanted to be heard in a different way and in to be able to make it into the mainstream
Yeah.
first. But I feel like if I didn't voice that and talked about that, I didn't want my people to feel like I wasn't wanting to be inclusive.
Right,
I
right.
definitely I've tried. When I first started, I tried to reach out to like some of the Hmong promoters and event
Mhm.
organizers, and
Yeah.
like I got a lot of no's from them. I was like, okay, like, and I felt like really rejected by my own community.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have to think bigger than this.
Mhm.
And if they come back and book me later, they're gonna have to pay me 3 times more. You know what I mean? But I
Right,
use that as a
exactly.
motivational thing, not a petty thing at all. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
But it's more of like a motivational thing.
Mhm.
Um, and so I do actually know all those artists in some form. Mavu has always been super sweet to me too.
Mm,
And she's just an amazing woman. And she actually made me feel like, okay, maybe one day I can do like pop or hip hop and make it sound, in Hmong and make it sound like, appealing to people of our
yeah.
age and our generation. So
Mhm.
so yeah, that's why I feel like right now is the time because I've kind of gotten to a place where, I was in LA out there for long enough. I've
Mhm.
got like a solid network of people, and I'm in the music. I feel like, oh, I'm finally actually in the music industry now. You
Right.
don't have to be famous to actually be really working in the music industry. That's a big misconception. Like,
Mhm.
I've been songwriting for artists with millions of views for their music, and then like, okay, now it's time to turn it back and work on my own music.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's a good time to, reach back to my community. Like, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still Hmong. I'm still repping.
Right.
It's funny because a lot of people actually thought I was like a Chinese or, Korean when I kind of like came on the scene.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I started working with, I kind of just came out of nowhere because I was actually married like for a long time, doing the
Yeah.
whole like, get a house and like be married and
Yeah,
have
the
a family type.
traditional life,
Yeah, the
yeah.
traditional thing where you think that you made it. Oh my God, I bought my parents' a
Mhm.
house. And like, oh wait, oh, it's deep inside. I'm not happy. My life isn't
Right.
for me. I want to do something that I'm passionate about. So
Mhm.
I had when I started doing the skits, I actually had only been divorced for about like 6, 8 months. So I just kind of dove right into
Oh,
my art and
wow.
my passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting because, you saying that you felt like you were kind of not welcomed or kind of like rejected by the Hmong community. I think that happens a lot with like artists that takes a different lane because that happened to Amanda Yang. We talked about it when she was on here. Like she felt like she wasn't welcome. She felt like it wasn't like the right um like the people that were listening to music just only wanted her to do Hmong music, but then she wanted
Yeah.
to go like more than just the Hmong music, you know what I mean? And I think that's what you
Yes.
did too, I think it's really important for us as Hmong people, and I always say this, w- like we're not the only ones here, you know what I mean? Like the world just doesn't revolve around our community. There's a whole nother world out there to be seen or to be experienced, so I think it's crazy what you did, really, going mainstream or trying to go mainstream first and then coming back to the Hmong community. That's I think but I think that's one of the best ways to do it because like you said, now you have your networks. You've been songwriting for a bunch of artists, and you put your work on there and out there, and I think right now focusing on your craft for yourself, I think
Yeah.
is a good way to go. It might be like a different way, and a lot of people might not see it like kind of like the right way, but I think it's a good way, and also like everything really like every person will take a different path, so I don't think that really the Hmong people should kind of like judge or kind of just like have a misconception of the path that anybody takes.
Yeah. And, it would not be right to kind of group them all like that too, because there are a
Hmm.
lot of Hmong people such as yourself that are very progressive and very forward thinking, and very like much more aware.
Right.
And a lot of us who don't grow up in places like California or Minnesota, where we're around a lot of Hmong people,
Hmm.
like these just like small clusters, like in the Carolinas or like in
Right.
Detroit.
Hmm.
We have a different. I think we are a little bit different because we're not constantly surrounded by huge Hmong
Hmm.
community. It'd be like 2, 3 classmates that are Hmong.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And you were growing up in Detroit, and I read in your bio that you moved to LA around 2015. Um, what was the thinking of when you moved to LA? Was it, and did you know anybody over there before you moved, or did you just kind of like picked up your stuff and went?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I did. I didn't even go to LA to visit first.
Mm.
because I was like, wait, if I already know I want to go there, why do I want to spend and waste the money to go and visit and then come back again? I'm like, that's a $600-700 trip that I could
Right,
just use
right.
to pay my first month's rent. you know. So I actually so it was actually Frankie's idea.
Mm.
Frankie said he's gonna go to LA. I was like, oh well, I want to go too, you know.
Yeah.
But I actually ended up going there first. And then I was in a hostel. So like it was one of the situations where I like rented a room. There's like 20 other artists that live in that house.
Yeah.
Everyone shared like two bathrooms. It was actually a really cool experience. Because instantly when I moved in, I was already immediately connected to like a bunch of people who were doing different things in
Mhm.
entertainment. So yeah, I just kind of took my stuff and went. I do have two kids,
Yeah.
and so that was a really hard decision. The first when so my ex-husband, he's Chinese, and we lived and had a restaurant in Virginia. Okay.
Mm.
So when I had gotten divorced and was like kind of doing those, videos and trying to get into comedic acting and all,
Yeah.
I was in Minnesota, Minneapolis for less than a year, where I was trying to connect with other Hmong people, and I had my kids there with me.
Mm.
But I was in a very toxic situation because I went back, to my mom's,
Right.
and that's not necessarily the healthiest thing, being a Hmong daughter coming from
Mhm.
divorce. It's
Yeah.
like, like
It's frowned
um
upon, yeah.
yeah, it's frowned upon, and you're not given a healthy situation when you can actually heal
Right.
and even feel good about yourself as a person. Like immediately, my mom was trying to find me a Hmong guy to marry.
Oh, wow.
She was like, "Hey, she's like, oh, because you're treated like your second-hand goods, and
Mm.
now you have to marry another guy who's also divorced, or a really old
Right.
guy, or it's just all the." I'm just like, what? None of this makes sense to me. It's like,
Mhm.
bye. So I had a so I had talked to my kid's father, and his parents were retired, and it was a really tough decision, but I was like, I had to put my kids in a situation where they could be around people that could take care of their needs and care for them.
Mm.
And I went and pursued my career. So it was really hard.
Yeah.
And definitely a lot of people had a lot of judgments and things to say about that. They thought I was having like a post-marital crisis, and
Mm.
now I'm just buck wild in LA,
Yeah.
going YOLO. I had my moments, I had my fun. But everything's like full circle now, like
Mhm.
I'm in such a good place now, and yeah, things are good. And LA was it's an amazing experience, and I
Yeah.
still I still have deep roots there too. I'm living since the pandemic that I've been living in Austin. So
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I don't know, it's really rare to hear like, from being, for being Hmong and then just going to LA, right? Or just kind of going somewhere else and building a life there. I think it's really interesting because we're such like community based, family based people
yes.
that like nobody's really heard of that. Like for you and Frankie, I think what really drew me to you guys is because you guys actually did it. You know what I mean? Like you guys kind of like um you know made that path available for others if they wanted to. So I think it's really important that you guys were kind of like the trailblazers, for my generation to see like, oh damn, like they're Hmong and they're able to, do what other people do, follow their dreams, follow their passions and going into the
Wow.
entertainment industry.
I can't believe that you really think I'm gonna have a teardrop. I can't believe that you think of it that way. I never really thought of it, that way,
Mm,
you know?
yeah. I mean, it's just like that. Like, people in my generation, I think, we always think about it, right? Because, I
Yeah.
grew up with like a lot of music, a lot of dancing, with like the B-boys and everything. And I honestly think that if we had people like you and more people like you and Frankie to pave that path, I think more of us would be in the entertainment industry now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just seeing you guys go and and not even a lot of people will acknowledge that you guys went, or acknowledge that, oh yeah, they're Hmong and they're actually following their dreams and making a living off of it. You know, nobody really talks about that, and I think that's just an interesting thing with our community that I think we need to touch base on. Is like, no, you don't always have to, go to school, get a job, get married, have family, and that's it. You know, you can follow your dreams, follow your passions, go to LA if you want, just like everybody else that wants to. Like I,
Yeah.
I think that's the American dream right there.
Oh yeah, that definitely is. And we can't let our parents define that for us, you know. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of beautiful things about our culture and our traditions as well too, for sure. But there are a lot of things that we need to evolve
Yeah.
and progress in, you know, especially the way that we um just the things that we project onto our children and the way we treat, you know, especially our daughters as well
Hmm.
too, you know, especially for a Hmong girl, you know,
Yeah.
that's like, and I wanted to be a rapper, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I am a rapper now,
Hmm.
but before I was just trying, but now I feel like okay, I'm a rapper
Right.
now.
Right. Established rapper. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, even now, the conversations are just starting to pop up. About um like the domestic violence in our communities. Women empowerment in our communities.
yeah,
There's not that much talk about that LGBTQ community yet, but I'm pretty sure that will come up soon. There's just different things that our community, our Hmong community, has not touched on yet, but I think that's okay. I think we can't throw everything at our
yeah. So we just
community
have
at
to
once.
spoon feed it, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah. But
And
I really
it
think
is
that,
hard.
you know, I think that we're getting there. And I
Hmm.
think there also needs to be a lot more conversations around the standards that we give men too, you know,
Mm,
because as Hmong men, you're given all these expectations to like carry the family
yeah.
and like provide, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
then as a woman in America, now you have double standards because now they want
Right.
you have to have that education, that job, and then like cook 7 meals a day and all that shit.
Yeah.
So that was very conflicting for me. And then so Hmong men are raised up to like, you know, like kings, right? And they're not
Right.
expected to do anything. And so this
Hmm.
in this case, it's not some like it's not really their fault if they were brought up this way, that they were to be served and treated. And then
Hmm.
now later in life, they're not able to be sufficient husbands and, you know, care, you
Right.
know, for their wives and don't know how to treat women, you
Yeah.
know. So not there's not an excuse for that, but you know, there needs to be healing on both sides and, you
Yeah.
know, acknowledgement from both sides as well.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it does like it does seem wrong to say like, those posts that are like, all Hmong men are trash and stuff like that. Me and my girlfriend, we talk about it all the time. Like it it really does start with both of us having a conversation, and
Hmm.
having like a non-toxic conversation. And I know it's hard because feelings are gonna get into it and emotions gonna get thrown into it. So it's gonna be, of course, it's gonna be hard. But we have to have those hard conversations for our community to move on and to evolve. Like you said.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your music. You just dropped a song, Nail Salon, I think a couple days ago, really.
Yes.
Um, is that the single you're writing on until your next drop?
Um, so I took a 3-year break ish,
Hmm.
right? I had a great feature on Vice.
Yes. I want to get
And
into that later too. So.
okay. So damn, so I had dropped this song called Ling Ling first. And
Hmm.
that was kind of when I was just kind of learning my, you know, my voice, like my sound.
Yeah.
And then I had got that tracked in, and then I felt like I almost felt like I was not deserving of that because uh so I took a break because
Yeah.
I felt like I got a lot of backlash for like, oh, like, you know, who's this person, blah, blah, blah,
Mm.
you know, but I didn't let that destroy me. I'm like, it just kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna take a break. And I know I had a lot of work that I still needed to do and grow on as far
Right.
as my craft.
Hmm.
And then so I've just been low key songwriting for other artists and everything like that last 3 years, working on my own sound. And then I dropped Nail Salon literally, yes, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And um, to kind of just be like, okay, I'm here. You
Mm.
know, this is my voice, this is my sound, it's lit. it's unapologetic,
Yeah.
it's woke, but you can still bob to it. Like I want it to be a message,
Yeah.
but I still want to do what the boys do and cuss and say fuck you and all this shit.
Yeah.
Like I
Mhm.
don't like, you know what I mean? In a way to empower myself, but at the same time, just make music that people still want to roll down their windows and be like, yeah, this song's about
Yeah.
us, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that really just describes your, style of music, it's like hip hop and like EDM and, unapologetic, you know.
Yeah.
I think I listened to it a couple times just just to get the vibe of it and get the vibe of you before this podcast. And yeah, it is pretty is like a, roll down the window, in your face type of
Yeah.
song, you know.
I did throw a little bit of some like Hmong in there, some flutes
Mhm.
and stuff too. And I was actually just picturing for like that part, I was actually thinking about like this like y'all Hmong
Oh yeah.
yeah, and like all those headpieces and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna imagine myself on like a mountaintop, like
Mm.
to just kind of like show people that I actually can sing in Hmong like really good. Like,
Yeah.
because I actually sang in Hmong first when I was like younger, and I spoke Hmong first only.
Mhm.
So I want to slowly introduce that where I'm a singer who is Hmong, but what is a Hmong singer? You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
Like my ethnicity doesn't describe my music. It's just a part of who I am as an artist. But I do hip hop, I do EDM with tribal Hmong
Right,
elements.
right,
Hmm.
yeah. That's an interesting take. I don't think I don't think I've ever even thought about that talking to like as many artists as that I've talked to. Like, are you a Hmong singer or are you just a Hmong person that sings, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take and I can't wait to hear more stuff coming from you. But yeah, you mentioned that you were featured on Vice. How did that whole thing happen?
So I actually I just got this email out of nowhere from
Mhm.
them, right? And then I showed my homie Novian, and he's this also great Minnesota rapper, Minneapolis,
Mhm.
and so he was out there in LA with me too, and we were like roommates as well. Um, and I was like, "What is this Vice thing?" He read the email. He was like, "Oh, this is good. This is really good." I was like, he's like, you need to take this opportunity. I was like, oh, okay. And then I dug more into him, like, oh wow, like this is a really good feature, and it's about I just get to be myself and tell
Yeah.
my story, and
Mhm.
like I am all about that. Because it's a lot of Southeast Asians and especially Hmong, like we've been here in the Hmong America history for like what 40 some years, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so the misconception of the model like minority Asian American who came here like probably a few generations ago who actually have the money to go to law school
Yeah.
or and like have businesses. It's like a lot of us were here in what Detroit, Minneapolis, Fresno. Okay, we're ghetto. We're the hood Asians. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right.
So I grew up with friends who like with a lot of black girlfriends who like were braiding their hairs on their porch. Their mom would be telling me about like why they did their hair certain ways, and like I
Mhm.
grew up with black culture,
Yeah.
along with my culture, and like so that became like a thing where like some people felt like I felt like people had to understand that not all Asians are like taking private piano lessons and you know
Mhm.
doing ballet and our parents are paying for us to go to law school.
Right.
I didn't grow up that way, so it was the topic on Vice was about appropriation,
Yeah.
whether or not I was allowed to like wear braids, and and then it was about my music and stuff too. But I feel like you can do what you want, as long as your intentions are good and as long as you're
Mhm.
prepared to back up what you're
Yeah,
doing.
that's
And
true.
that's and I wanted to share that with people. It's like if I were like braids, that comes from like the black community or has like African roots, I want to know like what kind of like style that is,
Yeah.
like why it was worn that way. And if
Mm.
someone asks me that, I can educate them and tell them like where that came from, but not in any way like, oh, this is mine. Like, just like
Yeah.
how people take, like, the Black community takes a lot of things from the Asian culture too.
Right.
And a lot of times I feel like it's very like they're celebrating us. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
But if it's done in a way where we're being mocked, then I'm not okay with that. Or
Right.
you know what I mean? Or if it's taking away from our culture and not giving us credit for it. So I want to show
Mhm.
people that, yeah, I'm a Hmong American girl. I also appreciate, Black culture, hip hop culture, because it's a part of the cultures that I was introduced to.
Right.
So I just kind of some more wanted to talk about that, and that's kind of how like the piece came about. Sorry, I'm just like babbling right
Oh, no, you
now.
good, you good. Yeah,
Just cue
yeah.
me. Just tell me when I need to shut
Oh,
up.
no, no, you're good. I like this, but yeah, I totally agree. I can't find the video anymore. I think they took it down or something.
Oh, I'll
But y
send it to you. I have the link.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah,
Yes.
I was going through the channels and I just couldn't find it, but I did watch it. I shared it a while ago too when it came out. It was really interesting because I think during that time, like the whole cancel culture thing was not it was not a thing yet. But then um at that time it was kind of like the talks about appropriation and like Asians being in the hip hop industry is kind of was that topic.
Yeah.
And I feel like honestly, I think it's fine. You know what I mean? Like you said, we're like kind of like appreciating the culture and the fact that we're still not saying that we did it or we like started it, like we do
Hmm.
trace it back to, yeah, that's like black culture. Hip hop is black culture, but then I think it's just another form of expression, another form of art and expression for us to relate to.
Yeah. Because for a lot of us, it's what we grew up with. It's not something
Hmm.
that we just decided to randomly participate in.
Right.
And I think that a lot of us have created there is a such thing, it's almost like a remix of a culture, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because we're
Yeah.
taking our identity and then remixing with our surroundings and the way are the cultures that we grow up in.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
I think for me it's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why, but the like I always picture a pho bowl, right? There's so many different types of pho, but we all know it comes from Vietnamese culture. There's Vietnamese
Hmm.
pho, Thai pho, Hmong pho. You know what I mean? Like Lao pho. So it's like I feel like it's kind of like that, where kind of like we kind of took that bowl of pho and kind of just not make it our own, but then like threw our spices into it.
Yeah. That's a way really that's a good way of looking at it, because I can always tell when papaya is made by like a like Laotian person
Right.
or like a Hmong person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I really like that because it's still pho, but it's like it's yeah.
Just different spices.
All right, if you ever hear me use that in an interview in the future, I give you credit. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Okay. All
I
right.
might use that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. But yeah, going back with you for you living in LA, how you went there before, you said before Frankie. How did you get linked up with everybody else? Was it just through the place that you were living at with those other artists?
um, wow, I mean, yeah, a lot of it was just collaborating. So I was more heavy into the film side of things, right?
Mhm.
And when you actually move there, you're actually immediately surrounded by everything. So you just kind of have
Oh.
to filter out, okay, what Asian American like film festival event should I go to? Where are the communities at? Like, and you just kind of shuffle and kind of figure out where you belong in it.
Mhm.
And one thing, just there's never one moment where it happens, but I just remember, like, you have to. I know that if you go to LA, like for me personally, I feel like there's no way you can go there for like 6 months and feel like, okay, like I found my people.
Oh, yeah.
Like it took me like I feel like I didn't really find my spot and where I fit in LA until like my second year of being there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but yeah, we knew nobody. We got out there, we just did what we did. We were filming like in the streets, in
Yeah.
like shops. We were like, oh hey, I saw a cool like a building over there. We're gonna go shoot over there, you know. So yeah, and yeah, we were just out there living the LA dreams. And it's funny
Yeah.
because like those are the times that I miss the most is
Mm.
when I'm like not like, in the studio writing or like, trying to get ready for like a show and I'm like
Yeah.
complaining, oh, I don't want to get ready for this show. And then I'm thinking like, oh man, I remember 2 years ago, I'd be like, man, somebody give me a show.
Yeah.
um, so it's crazy, but those are I felt like the best times and I really miss it, just
Mhm.
running around LA with a camera and writing down skits and like
Yeah, like
doing
starting from the
stupid stuff.
bottom.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
fun, we're just at coffee shops writing down our little scripts and everything. So,
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure a lot of Hmong people want to take that route. Is there any advice you could give for those listening that do want to take that route, but then they're a little scared or they're afraid of what their parents might say?
mhm. Well, I would say, um, I would say that if, as long as you're true to who you are and you know what you want, you should, go for it. And I don't think that anyone's like validation. The support is great, but
Mhm.
as long as at the end of the day you're the person validating yourself and you're doing it for you,
Mhm.
I think you should just definitely go for it,
Yeah.
because I think if I listened to anyone who ever told me that I couldn't, you know, and this is not in a way to like make myself seem like a victim of life, right?
You're right.
But I was like, you know, I have been I have been like, sexually abused. My father died. My biological father died when I was younger. I've been married before. You know what I mean? I have two
Mhm.
kids, and I'm older than a lot of these artists too. I'm actually going to be 32 this year. Um,
Mm.
so, and I remember when I came onto the scene, a lot of them were like in their early 20s, so they were like too cool to, you know,
Right. Yeah.
too cool to be my friend.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like there's no, you're never too late, you know.
Mhm.
Like, and I actually was very overweight too at that time. Um, so it was like the self-image issue, the status issue.
Mm.
Like, I would just encourage everyone who wants to pursue their dream, like save your money, you know, take
Yeah.
everything you have and go like you have nowhere to come back to. That's my mentality.
Mm.
Like, because
Yeah.
after I try to, like go and live with my mom again to get that support after my divorce and not having that, I was like, okay, well, I have nowhere to go to. So this is the only place that I can make it.
Mm. Yeah.
And having that mentality that you're Hmong, that you don't have a K-pop or a Korea or a Japan to go back to and go make it in your own country.
Yeah.
Like this is our country. So this is
Yeah.
the only place that we can make it if you really
Mm.
think about it like that.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of Korean artists, they're really talented, but it's hard for them to break in the US market. Okay, we're gonna go to Korea, we're gonna do K-pop.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the only place that we're gonna make it, and that's gonna make us fight even harder and go even like stronger. And the fact that
Yeah.
we even don't even have our own like our really are like media companies or anything like that, really putting out our stuff. We have to be, our own content creators, like our own channels,
Yep. Yep.
So if you want a way, you just have to make it. I feel like I came from absolutely like nothing in my life, to get to where I am. And I still have so much more to do, you
Yeah.
know, but I'm in a place now where like everything I do now, like this is for me,
Yeah.
right? And it would be great if people could follow me on this journey. But at the end of the day, I don't need anyone to be like to thumbs me up or
Yeah.
to write a nice comment to make me feel like good about like what I do. I used to take
Right.
it so personally. Oh, no one's watching it. I hate you guys. Like,
Yeah.
fine. you know.
Yeah.
So, um, that was my impersonation of Mongda, by the way. I'm actually Hmong Green, but when I joke around, I speak Mongda. So, but yeah, so I really encourage like the youth to, and yes, education, it is important to a certain extent. But if it's not what you really want to do, I don't feel like I'm like save that money that that you're gonna use
Right.
for college and get yourself a one-way ticket and you go to LA.
Yeah.
There's there's so many different flavors of ramen that you can have. There's so many different ways to cook it. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I think, like I said, we need more people like you to show that it is possible, to show that it is, it is going to be hard, but it's possible, you know. But yeah, moving on. So you said you wrote songs for a couple artists. Like how many songs have you written so far for people?
So what a lot of what I've done when I first started actually was able to get into the studios.
Hmm.
And it's technically considered ghostwriting, so
Yeah.
I can't really disclose.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, there would be like a lead like songwriter that gets paid, to write for a particular artist.
Yeah.
And then it would be a situation where like I might know the person, be like, and they were like, oh, this is like your vibe, like come in and help us like write a little bit.
Oh,
So I started kind of like that, where they just like paid me out to for the 2 3 hours that I'm there. Okay,
yeah.
just pay for your time here. To eventually we're like, okay, maybe there might be royalties involved. So it's like it sucks. There's a lot of like bad deals and everything like that. But it
Yeah.
was I did what I did to get in the door as far as like songwriting.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think I've written well over a couple dozen songs already, and some of this stuff won't even be out for years to come.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember I wrote a song like a while ago for someone, maybe 2.5 years ago. That's probably just like might be coming out.
Oh, man.
and and I actually wrote Nail Salon way before this whole like pandemic really revealed the hate against Asians. I
Oh,
actually, if you
yeah.
look, I have a video about it. I had a little snip about it in Vice already. It didn't sound the same at the time, but I
Mm.
actually wrote it in even before a lot of people think that I wrote the song about the shooting as well too
Yeah.
in Atlanta. But it's really because of the stereotypes of Asian working in restaurants and salons.
Yeah.
And I was also inspired by I think it's like, yeah, I forgot, it was Angela or Angelina Johnson who did the skit, about the nail salon comedic skit.
Uh, I
You
might.
know, yeah,
Sounds
I'll pull it up for
familiar.
you. Yeah, where she's like, how did you like I do for you?
Oh,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
she's I think
Mhm.
she's Mexican, or I might be wrong, but it was just a very funny skit.
Mhm.
And I just kind of got inspired like from that, you know what I mean? Taking the stereotype and making it a way where it's like in your face, but it's fun without
Right.
like sounding like I'm too angry,
Yeah.
but like just all right, taking ownership of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like, yeah, like you said, taking over ownership of it and saying what it is, saying what it is, like like it's there, you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm. I know you can't disclose the artists that you've written for or helped written for, but are they pretty big artists?
Yeah. I definitely think so. I would say probably, so I wrote a couple songs for like, there would be like an artist I wrote a couple songs for, right? So
Mhm.
and then some of them were like little projects. Some people I don't even know who the song was for.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. But I would say probably anywhere between maybe like a dozen different artists throughout the year, you know?
Mm.
Yeah. And then
Were you able to
mhm.
meet them at all?
No, no,
Oh,
sometimes
really?
no. Yeah, sometimes I actually will record myself singing this, not just the writing, but
Yeah.
like singing it and everything and sending it off.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, or sometimes I could actually be in there to coach people to how to like hit certain notes or execute
Yeah.
certain things, And I actually did this whole songwriting thing to just be in the studio, but deep
Yeah.
down inside, it's like, no, I want to be the artist.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I learned a lot that it's not about me all the time. You know,
Right.
I would have been
Mhm.
so opposed to, and honestly, even if you're an artist that has other people write songs for you, I don't think that takes away from you being an artist at all,
Right.
because a lot of singers, they might not have the ability to really write things the way that they express it, but they can
Yeah.
come to you with like the ideas and the concepts,
True.
and you putting it together for them, but you're writing it through their eyes. Sometimes I write a
Right.
great track for someone, and it's a track that I would never think of writing for myself.
Oh,
So I'm like, well, this song, I wrote this, but it really belongs to this singer. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. I mean, I forgot where I heard this, but then like somebody, I think she's a songwriter, and she was like, yeah, I'm fine with like ghostwriting and stuff like that because you know they're the performers, they're the
Yeah.
ones with the big names that will get this song out there. And that's like a songwriter truly knows that like that is my song, but then like I'm glad that it's out there in the world. At least it's out there in the world. I think it's a really cool way
Yeah.
of, yeah, like you said, kind of like writing in a different lens. I think it's very a very good way to approach art.
Hmm.
Yeah. Was there anything like, did anything surprise you trying to get into the industry?
Oh boy. um, um, what do you mean by that? Anything in particular?
Yeah, just anything like you didn't think it was gonna be like that once you got your foot in the door, or like
Hmm.
on your way there, like on your way and grinding, just to be in the entertainment industry. Was there anything that surprised you in any way?
Yes, actually. I'm really glad that you brought that up. So I always thought, because I grew up with a lot of homies and homeboys. I
Hmm.
have a lot of like, cousins and big brothers and stuff, like big brother figures.
Right.
And so I always felt like, and I always felt like they protected me and they cared about me. So maybe like the stories about like, women in the music industry were like dramatized about like, oh, like we're suppressed and all these things happen. Cause I don't like to feel like a victim.
Right. Hmm.
So that was my mentality at first. But like I will tell you that those stories are true.
Mm.
As far as like, even if you come and you present yourself in a way that's like professional, you're about your money, you
Yeah.
want to do the work, there's a lot of people have a lot of hidden agendas for you.
True. Hmm.
So, and it's, and even if you're like, maybe hiring an engineer to do a track for you or something like that, and you're like, okay, this person's going to respect me because I'm a client and I'm paying them money. So they're not going to treat me, they're not going to like have intentions for me or hit on me or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then they do like and then they get, and even if you turn them like, there's a situation where I turned a guy down, like his advances down very politely. I'm like, oh, I'm flattered, but I'm not interested. And this is of course not during work. This is like after a couple sessions, working with this
Right.
person a couple times, have a great working relationship.
Hmm.
And then, it like they take it personally being, rejected outside of, of that. And then all of a sudden, like, okay, where are all my files? Like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Like if you don't want to work with me anymore, that's cool, but send me the stuff that I paid for.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, that's kind of surprising because this is a person that's like in the music industry
Hmm.
and is very reputable and very professional, and he did not do anything inappropriate out of line, but he was like basically butthurt,
Yeah.
But I even have really crazier stories where I hired this rapper, and he's a pretty well-known rapper and I never released the song. Um but he's a pretty well-known rapper, and so we were in the studio together. I hired him for a verse. And while I was in the booth, right, he had to finish his verse. He was just chilling in the green
Hmm.
room. Um, the engineer had his intercom on, right? So I can hear everything that they're saying.
Oh, man.
And this guy that I hired, who I like put myself out there, like I looked up to him as a rapper, you inspire me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I put myself out there like a sister.
Yeah.
Um, he was talking to his homies about like trying to take me home tonight, you
Damn.
know? And I was just like, I had just like my heart, like I had lost so much respect for him. And I'm like in the booth, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I should brush it off. And then afterwards, he had like, oh, my friend's left. Like, can you take me home? I was like, oh, I'm going the other side of town. I can call you Uber though. you know. And I was just like hurt. I was like, man, like, I I want to be taken seriously. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
And even if I present myself like a homie, because I have such homegirl vibes, and I do that on purpose. And I go to the studio looking like a bum, because like because I want to be someone's friend first, or
Right.
someone that they can work with. And I don't feel like I, need to. For me, my sexuality, my body, that's for my own expression. I don't need
Mhm.
that to get ahead in the industry or anything like
Yeah.
that. I don't feel that way. And it might be, and in the past, like I feel like I may have not thought that way, but now that I know myself and I have so much more respect for myself, as a
Mhm.
person, as a woman, like I really stand by that. And, you know, like it was just very hurtful to have those things happen to you. Like
Yeah.
just so many projects that I don't have. I have people, taking your money, like when you pay them for things or just not getting back to you. It's a
Mhm.
struggle, being independent and being a woman. Like a lot of things really surprised me too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, those are kind of like, traumatic, honestly.
Oh yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
I haven't even scratched the surface. But you know what? A lot of this now that I look at it, I'm like, all right, this is just another song.
Mm.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
just this is what I'm gonna write about later. Because a lot of people they make up drama so they can write about it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
They make up beef, they make up these stories, like so that they can like diss people. But I was like,
Yeah.
man, I have real shit to work with now. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, real ammo.
Yeah, I got, and it's all good, you know what I mean? It's like honestly, all this is a part of my growing, my learning process. Like I don't even hold any like resentment for these people
Mhm.
because I took something negative and I made it into a positive thing. And it's just all a part of like my journey, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way you can do it, taking that negative energy and turning it into a like positive energy because what else can you do with it?
Yes.
You're just gonna be negative Nancy all the time and but I think, big ups to you for, being able or being, strong enough and uh kind of like have that confidence within yourself to make it into turn it around and make it into a song or make it even into like a learning experience for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot to get to that point because I had a lot
Yeah,
of
for sure.
personal growth too. But no, before I was like petty. I was like, oh, I'm so fucking petty. Everything makes me petty. Like fuck this person. Sorry, I swear it's so much. Is that
Oh yeah,
okay?
no, that's
Okay,
okay.
okay, let's go. All right. Yeah, I have a dirty mouth. But yeah, like it's all good now. Like even
Mhm.
all the people that didn't like, fucked with me when I, first tried to come onto the scene, or the people
Yeah.
who like talk shit about me, and I know all about it too, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, whatever. It's like I I don't want to be, on top of like this little hill. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd rather be halfway up a mountain
Mm.
than, the king of the hill. So
Yeah. Wow, that's such a good way to put it.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I took that from someone. I don't know who, but,
It's
but
okay.
I heard it somewhere.
Right, right.
Um, yeah,
That's a good message. And also, can you give us the name of that rapper?
no,
Okay.
I can't. I'm just not like. It's just like, why even give power to that?
Oh,
And
true, true.
like they say that every time you retell a story, you tell a different version of it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
So if I had told this story to myself like 10 times already, I don't know what the original,
Oh,
it's
right.
like, plus, everyone's on their way to their own growth. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'm pretty sure I did some stuff that was shisty or shady to people earlier on too. And
Yeah.
like, I can't hold this against them or try to make that a part of that. Oh, that's their character. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right. For
Like
sure.
homeboy just probably thought I was cute. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably had no like, understanding that how I would have felt about it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Like he
How like
was just talking to his boys.
yeah, well, in my mind, I'm like, I'm just a girl, just got here from like got here to LA. I don't know anyone. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to
Yeah.
feel like up, to part of a community.
Mhm.
And then for him, he did the work. He did a great job at it. But for him also, it's like, all right, I'm gonna get that ass. You know what I mean? so
Yeah.
so so like there's no like really harm in that. But I was just kind of like, what really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was a little hurt. I'm like, you'll like all my sexy photos, but you're not gonna listen to my music. So
Right, right.
Yeah. I had to tone down on that. But then at the same time, I don't want to feel like I want to hold back my, sexual power or,
Hmm.
my feminine, energy and all that stuff
Yeah.
just because I want to prove myself to be like a rapper. I'm like, no, I can do both. Why
Right.
can't Hmong people have like a, uh, a Mega the Stallion who's like a badass rapper and she's butt naked all the time too? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
That's
we
interesting. Yeah.
because you know why, and this is also something that's very important that I want to talk about is because you know in the traditional like in the Asian culture, especially if you come from more traditional Asian cultures and
Hmm.
backgrounds, women we don't women in general already don't have we're not supposed to have ownership over our own sexuality
Hmm.
anyways, and
Yeah.
especially being Asian and being Hmong,
Hmm.
and so it's like the only time that we're allowed to express ourselves in a sexual way is through the lens of a man when we're on top of a import car,
Yeah.
and then that's not even really for us either. And there's nothing
Right.
wrong. Trust me, there's nothing wrong. Like I think import models are hot and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and I actually really actually thought about like being a model at one point too, but I didn't like the way the way that it was being curated. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it
Yeah.
wasn't like where it was more of like in a lusty, like sexualized kind of way, not more of like a
Like
way
an
that
art form.
yeah, I didn't feel
Yeah.
like I would be it wasn't empowering for me personally, you
Mm.
know? And
Yeah.
if it was done in a different way, so I was like, okay, I mean, I can't change that, but I can change myself and create my own thing.
Hmm.
And I that's what I really want us. And so when we see something like that, right, one extreme, right, where it's over sexualized, hyper sexualized in the eyes of like a men's magazine type of way. So if as an artist, when you want to be able to separate yourself from them so that people can take your music seriously.
Yeah.
But then you're like, okay, wait, why am I not giving myself to express myself sexually in all the ways that I want to just because I want to be taken seriously as a musician?
Right.
So I'm just gonna be like, no, fuck that. I'm not gonna let that industry or that image stop me from being the person that I want to be. I still want
Hmm.
to be. I want to show you that I'm a sexy ass bitch and I can rap.
Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like you know what I mean. But I'm not using my body so that you can listen to my music. You know.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
You're not using it as an advantage. It's just a part of who you are, really.
yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's all for me, and I'm proud to how like my mom or my grandma, like man, they didn't have a choice who they married.
Hmm. Right.
Like and coming to this country, like we have you know so many different opportunities to like, hey, you know what, we matter too,
Hmm.
like and but at the same time we're still dealing with a lot of like issues and how we feel about expressing our sexuality as women, as Asian
Yeah.
women, as
Hmm.
Hmong women, and it is very hard for us to be able to do that and not be looked at a certain way. So we have to be very vocal about it, in order to
Yeah.
make that change happen.
Yeah, that's true. And going off of that, I think you do a very good job of, separating the two and making it yourself. I think also like Yasmi and Khalid Universe, they do a really good job of doing that too, still being still being like sexy, but then like empowering themselves through that instead of just having, oh, I'm sexy, can you come listen to my music now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely for sure. They're both very, very different artists. They're both very talented. And they don't need any of that and not doing any of that for anyone but themselves.
Right. They would still be like
Yeah.
you guys, you ladies would still be talented even if you guys are not like posting sexy pictures at all. You guys
Right.
would still have that talent and you guys would
Don't
still
get
have the
me
same
wrong.
following.
Don't get me wrong. I want a thirst trap sometimes too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it
Uh,
helps.
but it's also because it's like, ooh, I look good. I feel good about myself.
Right,
You know what
right,
I mean?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want to encourage Hmong girls out there to give themselves permission to express themselves in any way as long as it doesn't, hurt anybody.
Hmm.
And, but at the same time, while we're doing that, we also don't have to take, other people down too.
Right,
So I think
exactly.
by empowering Hmong women doesn't mean we have to bash Hmong men. as well,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, and vice versa. Because there's shitty people, no matter what race,
Right.
ethnicity, sexuality, sexual orientation. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll always be, those naysayers and, those haters. So,
Oh,
either way, either way.
oh, I also want to address this thing where like people think that I don't like Hmong guys.
That's a thing?
Because yes, it
Oh,
is
what
a
the hell?
thing, right? Is the thing where like, because you're, well, actually, for any Hmong woman who is not like, who might not be like dating a person that is Hmong
Mhm.
or whatever. I just remember like I had gotten so many things about like maybe I was like not interested in Asian men or Hmong men or something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, it was really weird. But I'm just saying, like, actually, I don't care if you're a Hmong man or a Hmong woman or both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just basically want to, feel like for people who are out there who, since I haven't voiced myself to the Hmong community, like
Mhm.
in this kind of way, that I'm proud of who I am. I know who I am. I know where I come from. I love, everybody,
Yeah.
and I support everyone genuinely in their journey, no matter what it is that they're going through. And this is just my journey, and I'm a little more reserved, and I've been sharing less and less of my personal life.
Yep.
Um, just because, like, I'm getting older now. I'm like, I don't think people care what I had for breakfast.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I do like a lot of, like, more like adult things too, that I want to be able to take more responsibility for if I want to share like those kinds of things.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for like discussions as far as you know, me being pansexual as well,
Mhm.
and also being polyamorous, which, in the Hmong community, I don't really think that would be a weird thing, because just last generation, two men could have like a man could
True.
have two wives, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But in a way, it's almost like we are okay with that if it's, if a man can have two women. But but those are definitely topics for more, I would say, progressive and more aware,
Right, right.
the Hmong community, that if they want to engage in those conversations like later on, I would definitely be open to that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's just so many things that, our community can talk about and can improve, it's gonna take more than just the two of us, So
Yeah, for no, for sure. But this is how this is how it starts.
right, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, like we are. I think that there's so much power in the unknown. You
Mm.
know, and when you're doing something for the first time, you don't have anything to really reference it to,
Yeah.
but that's what makes it great. You know,
Right, exactly.
yeah, because you're going off of your gut feeling.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I mean, you know, like even when you took your bags to LA, like you didn't know what you were getting yourself into, right?
no, no,
Yeah,
not at
you just kind
all.
of went,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this is where I'm gonna live. I'm thinking, okay, I have a place to live. I have a couple friends that I'm bringing with me. All right, I already kind of knew how to do acting work since I was doing that before already.
Mhm.
So I knew how to get like certain gigs, to do like background work, or things that, working gig jobs, so that if I had certain passion projects that I wanted to work on, that I would be able to make the time for it.
Right.
So it was like food, shelter, art. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's like me and Frankie. Oh my gosh, like that's my homie, man. We're still like good friends. He's the kind of friend that now, like, even if we don't talk much, like when we text and we talk, it's like I saw him yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like that's like my brother right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, let him know I want him on my podcast. He hasn't been, looking at my messages.
I'll talk to Frankie.
Yeah, yeah, let him know.
Yeah. Frankie is a busy guy, but
Yeah, I know. I know for a
yeah,
fact he's busy, so, I mean, no shots taken, but I'm just
no,
saying.
no, not at all. Like,
Yeah, I've been wanting to have him on my podcast since I started the podcast, and, for sure he's busy and he's doing his own thing, so, I would not wanna disturb his grind.
No, for sure. I'll bother him anyways, just to
Okay.
put it in there. Um,
Appreciate it.
yeah, you'll love him. I think I don't know if I've ever met, I mean, introduced Frankie to anyone that and they don't love Frankie. Man, he's like this guy. He's younger than me, but he's taught me so much in life
Mm,
that probably a million people were not able to tell me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
yeah, like he really helped me like get my like vibe in check and like what are your intentions like when you want to do this and that. He's just a great person. You know, he's so smart and he's actually very, I don't want to say actually, he is very entrepreneurial as well too,
Yeah.
and funny on top of that. Everything to me he does is funny.
Yeah. I mean,
He's comedically gifted.
yeah, like, his Hmong vines, those were the first ones that everybody saw. So
Yes,
yeah,
same here.
I think he should try stand up. Maybe that would, kind of evolve his comedic personality, but we'll see.
See, Frankie's such a great filmmaker too. You
Hmm.
know, if you look at his more of his cinematography work from the last recent years, like Frankie is a great cinematographer. And actually, so from doing like those like little skits and everything like that, my music videos and a lot of my photos and my visuals, Frankie did them.
Yeah, yeah, I saw the
Yeah,
tags and I was like, damn, like, yeah, he's really putting in work.
I felt like everything that I ever needed, I only needed between a handful of people, you know?
Mm,
And that
yeah.
always had my back from the beginning, no matter if I didn't have clout. And like definitely Frankie was like one of those for me. I was like, all right, if I need photos, visuals, video, Frankie, he got me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's something to be said with like, the group of people that kind of goes through the grind with you and goes through the
Yeah.
journey with you, like for sure that's like brothers and sisters for a fact, your day ones.
Yeah. He's definitely, God sent to me for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah. I'm so honored, to be doing my first interview with you. You know, I feel like I
Yeah.
gave it to the right person. I'm like, this is the guy I want to do this with.
Oh man.
I mean, not to say like I'm like, someone that's like big or anything like that. You know what I
I'm
mean?
not
Like,
I'm not big either, don't worry.
no, I'm honored. You know what I mean? I'm honored to be a part of your podcast.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
no, I'm honored too. And every guest that I get on, or even the future guests that will be on my podcast, I tell them all the time, you know, like you guys are the reasons why I wanted to do a podcast because it's like I think our community needs help with advancing in our society today.
hmm
And talking to you guys will hopefully light a fire under our community's ass, the younger generation, my generation, whichever, to, pursue what they want to pursue. Cause there's so many cases that like so many of us wants to do something, but then we don't want to get judged by our community, our parents, we might not have that support, or we, just will feel bad, at the end of the day
yeah,
if we follow our dreams. And I don't want anybody to feel bad for following their dreams or their passion, and that's the main focus on my channel is just,
that's good.
yeah, it's just to no, go do it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is
Oh,
very okay to go do what you want to do.
yeah. I'm really glad that you're doing this, and also it's like, you know, I feel like in order to help uplift your community, you always have to go outside of it,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. I think, yeah, going outside of the community, going outside the box, really,
Yeah.
Hmm. But yeah, moving on. Are you? Do you have any future projects coming out? Are you maybe since you are going to be sharing a lot more with the Hmong community after this podcast? Are you planning to hit any of the Hmong artists up for any collabs, or do you still feel kind of like that the unwelcomeness?
No, I feel like that's all like that's just kind of a part of the beginning of my journey. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
okay,
It's
yeah,
it's not like a stamp that I put on myself, like, all right, I'm not fucking with, my people.
yeah,
It's just like
yeah.
it's just like if someone says no, that I just went to go find,
Somebody else.
right, I guess a different, path somewhere. Um, I feel like, I am down to work with anyone as long as it's for the project. Like I don't want to work with like me and Khalid talk about this. Like we don't want to make a song just because we are gonna make a song together. You know,
Mm,
if we have like if Khalid writes a song, it's like, oh, I can Holly, I think I really see you on this. And I think that if I wrote a song, it's like, Khalid, I really see you on this. I think like her and I would like then come together. But
right.
it's like it's nothing forced, you know, and it has to be
Yeah.
like
Natural.
organic, yeah, you know, like and yeah, she definitely has my support, like 100%. Because I just want to do things that are progressive,
Hmm.
you know, and even if I did sing like Gutia in something, I probably would use it as a sample and put it in the background of like an EDM beat, you know.
Mm.
Um, but I I'm this not like it's not like I ever left my community. I just like kind of stopped communicating with it. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah.
You just weren't on social media. That was
Right,
it.
right. I
Yeah.
just wasn't on social media, which is what it is for Hmong people. It's just social media.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, okay, this is like, all right, I'm checking out. Um, but I think that for a lot of my projects, I'm actually going to be doing a lot of collaborations with you know, some producers and vocal artists in the EDM and hip hop.
Hmm.
And then I'll come back and drop my EP once I feel like I have more of established of my new sound. Because
Gotcha.
Nail Salon is kind of like you know, like, okay, I'm back, I'm better. I'm kind of setting the tone,
Yeah.
you know, for the rest of my work. Because I'm
Hmm.
competing. The only person I'm competing with is myself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like, oh, I'm back, because I never was up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I felt like this is the whole time I'm still just walking up the whole time,
Yeah.
you know?
Still your journey.
It's
Yeah.
not like I lost it and I came back. I was like, okay, I
Hmm.
never really been on, just you know, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
Because in the huge music industry, I'm just like, you know, a songwriter in a pool of full of you know, many. But you know, I built a strong network over the past couple of years in a very solid, like genuine network of people too. And I'm at a point now where it is really about the art. You know, I'm
Mm.
not trying to make that one song and throw it out there and okay, I hope this is the one that goes viral. You know what I mean?
Oh
It's not
yeah.
really about that, you know, that viral aspect of things anymore. It's more so of like keep making good stuff until it gets to the right ears. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because any
Yeah.
song has that potential of blowing up if the right person hears it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And nothing happens overnight. So I just need to keep making good music.
Mm. Hmm.
And whatever happens, happens. But I'm not going to be, you know, disappointed if a song doesn't hit the way that it does. It's all part of it's a long-term, you know, investment. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how, or it's crazy to see uh your growth, whether it's like the mental game or just as an artist. It's really humbling to see, like you being and you telling your story on here, which I really do appreciate you coming on to see that, you were there, you left everything, and then you kind of, did something that, Hmong people don't really see, and actually getting your foot in the door, getting connections and networking in those environments, and then coming
I
back.
think a lot of people expected like us to fail. Like the ones
Yeah,
that, you know, yeah. Or they're like, okay, well, we'll see how long this lasts. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, like we said, there will always be those naysayers, because they didn't have the guts to go do it themselves.
yeah.
But I think it's cool that you're coming back and are not coming back, but then like you're, in a better space, or like in kind of like a grown artist, you know what I mean? More humbling, more, aware, self-aware. That's the word I'm looking for. Like you're more self-aware of where you want to go and where you want to push your projects. I think it's a really interesting and really cool journey to see and for you to explain, especially on here. Because I think it will help a lot of, upcoming people that want to maybe take the same steps, or anything similar, to go to the industry like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really do appreciate you coming in here, and we're coming to the end here. Do you have anything to plug?
Um, is it? what does that mean?
Oh,
Because
do you have any
the
like
plug can mean many things. I don't
true,
know.
true.
Yeah, you need the aux cord. Yeah, like what you need.
Well, before we do that, on this podcast, we do ask your top five, dead or alive, who would you
Hmm.
like to have a sit down conversation with?
Oh wow, a sit down conversation with top five.
Yes, dead or alive.
Okay. Hmm. Let's see. So this is just generally speaking, or is it with music or?
Generally speaking, anybody.
Okay. Um. Let's see. Ooh, that is a hard one. Man, you got me beat on there. Let's see. Who would I want to? Oh, I definitely want to meet Margaret Cho.
Mm,
She's a great, really great, like you know, comedic. I wouldn't say she's an actress, but she's a great comedian.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I love her so much, and she's like one of the first like few faces that I got to see that looked like mine that was doing
Mm,
like comedy. Um, well, I like to think I'm a funny person because at one point I was like, I'm going to be a comedic actress. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I think I'm funny. So I'm just like, so yeah, so Margaret Cho, and then also, Whitney Houston, of course. I actually
Mm,
listened. She was a huge inspiration for me, you know, growing up, as far as like singing goes.
yeah.
And then Eminem, you know,
Okay.
yeah, because you know he came from 8 Mile just like me, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I was like, damn, that trailer park is just like down the street, you know,
Yeah.
from the movie. I was like, if he can get out of like Detroit, then I can get out of Detroit, you know. So
Mm,
like definitely a huge like hero for me in many ways. Um, and then you know Nicki Minaj because she really like paved the way for you know like female rappers
yeah,
like back on you know
for
after like
sure.
yeah because when I was growing up I you know I did hear like Eve and Trina Missy Elliott
Hmm.
and and Queen Latifah and Lil Kim but then I didn't it wasn't until like Nicki Minaj until I felt like okay like she's artsy she's street and like she's like can take like rap and do so many things with it you know
Right,
and
right.
that's what I wanted to you know to do I was like I want to be like Nicki Minaj
Yeah.
so
I definitely see the connection.
oh yeah you think
Yeah.
so oh that's a compliment yeah I love Nicki you know so much and then also can I do a fiction like was it nonfiction wait
Oh, yeah,
what's
yeah. Anybody.
okay so so my biggest thing is Kitana from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, if that was an actual person, I would like to meet that person.
for sure.
You
Did you
know,
try out for the role?
no, I did not. And actually, they didn't have her
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Mortal
they didn't
Kombat.
have her.
So I was like, oh my god, maybe they're gonna wait for me to do
Oh,
and put
yeah, I saw that
my
post.
yeah. Yeah, I took it down. But I was thinking because like I was doing the whole like ninja masking before COVID.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's so funny because now everyone's wearing it, right? So I'm like, man, now everyone looks like me running around.
Yeah.
I was like, so and then wait, is that five people?
That was 5. You could add more if you want.
Okay, my bad. Now I'm just babbling. But yeah, so yeah, Kitana because growing up, you know, besides the Yellow Power Ranger, there's like no other Asian women, and like Katana was the first like I remember playing Mortal Kombat on that, you know, the little game that you have to
Yeah.
plug in on the top,
Mhm.
and then because I'm a '90s kid, and then I was like, man, this is like she's so badass and she kicks ass and like yeah, I always wanted to be that. You know what I mean? I
Mm.
always wanted to be like if I was in a Fast and Furious movie, I wanted to be that girl driver who could like race the boys and then kick their
Yeah.
asses. Like that's always the persona, you know, that I want to go for because
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt like as a singer, there's like and singer and a rapper, like there were when we were growing up, the only time you saw like an Asian girl sing was when she was doing a cover with a guitar or a piano on YouTube, you know?
Right, right.
And it's beautiful. It was so sweet, so wholesome. And I'm just like, man, it's not me.
Mm.
Like, you know, I want to do what the boys do. You
Right.
know, I want to swear. I want to punch them in the face. I want to be vulgar, rude. So so yeah.
I think honestly, I think that right now, I think, you know, like I said again, your music really resonates to who you are and who you really aspire to be. I think you're doing everything right so far. I don't see anything wrong with what you're doing and what your vision is for your music and
Oh,
your
thank you.
personality. So,
I really feel like there was a vision of who I wanted to be, and I could execute that vision, but I couldn't do that like with my skills and my experience didn't really
mhm,
meet me yet where I wanted to be as an artist.
yeah,
And I finally feel like I'm in that place now where like Holiday is not this person I'm trying to be. It's like this is like who I am now, where the
yeah,
person, the persona are like meeting now. And I still have so much more going to do, but like it is who I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're at that crossroads where everything kind of makes sense now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I think that's such a good way to end this podcast. Everything comes together at the end, as long as you put in the work, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you paid your dues, and you're still paying your dues, and practice, and keep going.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Oh, do you want to like share your social medias, any like your Spotify, anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all my handles are is Holiday, right? Oh, and it's Holiday, not holiday. Okay. And
Yes, get
some
that
people
right,
keep saying,
people.
yeah, keep saying holiday. I was like, oh man, I sound like a stripper. Oh well, kala, kala. um, but it's because my name is Holly, so it's
Yeah.
Hollei, right?
Hmm.
D and then Day, Holly Day, Hollei, and it's holiday because I celebrate myself.
Wow, that is
So
such a that is such
that's
a
actually where that
beautiful
came
thing.
from. Yeah, because every day is like I celebrate myself and I'm doing me. So every day is my as a holiday. Yeah.
Wow, that is poetic. That is really poetic.
Oh, thank you. See, I bet people didn't think that. They probably thought it was just some stripper name that I kept. I'm kidding.
But Holiday, thank you so much for joining me and taking me through
Hey.
your journey, sharing, and getting on, and hopefully after this, more people would look your stuff up and invite you to their podcasts, their interview sessions, or even their music. So hopefully everything will go great, and for sure this is not the last time you will be on my podcast. That's a fact. Maybe sometime in the future, maybe season 3, I could have you back on, and we could talk it out and see where you go from there.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks so much. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did too. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. And make sure you guys go support Holiday and Spotify, YouTube, and all her music. Her recent single just came out, Nail Salon. So go check that out. Peace.